Effectively, the COVID committee repeatedly asked their panelists about this issue. I personally asked directly to the General Director of the WHO about this issue, and his reply was that all options are still on the table. So there is the unwillingness to assume that the origin of the virus of the SARS-CoV-2 was synthetic, was born in a laboratory, and that the leak of the laboratory is the real cause of the pandemic, because it's more, productive for our institutions to support the theory of the natural origin, which is at the basis of the whole One Health proposal of the EU Commission and of all the policy of control and the restrictions that were implemented and they want to implement again in future pandemics that, with all evidence, can spread out just from with the same method and with the same cause that we have seen for this one. But I want to update the public even on other topics, such as the decisions that were made about the hearing of President Ursula von der Leyen in COVID committee. That COVID committee requested by a decision of its coordinators, which were the majority voted in favor of the proposal of inviting Ursula von der Leyen for a public hearing. This proposal was sent in a letter by the COVID president, the COVID chair, Van Bremt, to President Metsola, the President of the Parliament, who has the role and the power to forward this invitation directly to the President of the Commission. Well, on February the 9th, President Metsola convened the COP, the Conference of Presidents, presidents of the political groups of the Parliament, to decide on the request coming from COVID to invite Ursula von der Leyen for a public hearing. And so doing, the chair wanted to divest herself of the responsibility of denying the hearing by referring the decision to the COP. That's a very concerning decision, because it shows that there is some untransparency. There is not the will to let the COVID committee have the replies and the answers to these important questions. I remind you that we wanted to ask Ursula von der Leyen to clarify in front of us, or in front of the Parliament, what were the reasons for the management of the contracts she dealt with the COVID vaccine producers in total secrecy, and with contracts that are still redacted, and using her personal mobile to exchange written texts with Albert Bourla, the chair of Pfizer, texts that have never been disclosed to the public. COVID request was immediately rejected by the majority in COP, seeing only the ECR and the ID chairman in favor, as was the option to hear Mrs. von der Leyen in the plenary, which was rejected by all. The two minority groups, ECR and ID, then made an alternative request, which was that of hearing the President in the Conference of Presidents, expanded to include the COVID committee. But this proposal also failed to pass. It was therefore decided that she will be heard only in the chamber, in camera, without specifying when. In this way, the COVID Commission has been totally stripped of its powers, and decisions made within it by the coordinators and the chair herself have been totally overturned by the chairs of their respective groups. This is very, very bad. So the chairman of the left and green groups have in fact betrayed all their battles for transparency and democracy by preventing a parliamentary committee from questioning the European Commission President on facts of crucial importance and of great interest for the public. Let us not forget that the President is currently under investigation by the EPO, the European Public Prosecutor Office, for the purchase of COVID vaccines. And providing clarification to the Parliament would be the least that she could do if she had any intent of clarifying her position and if she had nothing to hide to us. But it's also remarkable that the COP rejected as well the request to withdraw the pass to enter the premises of the Parliament to the lobbyists of Pfizer, because this request was put forward by the coordinators of COVID as well, and the President Metsola decided not to decide and to defer even this decision to the COP, and the COP rejected this as well. So people now need to know that in this Parliament the majority of MEPs are not available to fight for the truth, for freedom and for transparency, and even the leftist representatives that every day cry out against corruption and collusion of politics with lobbies, they bend their knees in front of them when they're called to act effectively. This is important to let you think over when you choose whom you can trust and who can really and with dignity represent you in the Parliament defending your rights. Thank you.